Thanks for clicking on the video. Like, subscribe, and share if you find this useful or interesting. Last time we made a simple flat cap on this bottom surface. Today we're going to make a sculptable cap on the top. And the last video I gave a pretty good introduction to the topic, so make sure you watch that first, because right now I am just going to do it. Okay. So we're going to make a cap on here, and we're going to make it right on this top surface. So far, every surface that we've made here, remember we have 8 surfaces here. We have a bottom section, a middle section, and a top section. Right now the bottom section is all the way on the bottom. I'm going to bring it back up. This will break the bottom cap here a little bit, but I don't care. Let's see, middle one, right here. Remember, because it's attached to the first layout, I edit the attachment offset. Go right here, it's at height of 0. I'm going to bring it up to 400, right about here. So the middle layout, which I had used here, and the curve and everything is going to pop back up here. Okay, 400, return. Okay. So this bottom cap that we had here is no longer valid. I don't care. I'm just going to get rid of it. And I'm going to delete the offset to make the model lighter, right? So I'm still looking at this group of surfaces, but I no longer care about the bottom cap and I no longer care about the offset. Okay. I don't need to look at this object right here. And now I see my 8 surfaces in the 3x4 patch. 3 sections of 4 curves each, okay? So all 8 of these surfaces were created in the same way. They went from one section curve to a curve on the next section. Now we're going to create a face right here at the top, and it's just going to be all the curves of this section. So I'm going to hide my layouts, and I just see, and I'm going to hide the control sketches. The only thing I have visible right now is the control polygons of this patch. Let's just take all of these, and I'm going to select them counterclockwise. Remember, this is what I consider to be the top. This is the bottom left corner. I'm going to reduce the size of this window here for a moment. So my order of things is bottom, right, top, and left. I'm going counterclockwise in a loop around the top here. And I apply control grid 4-4. Okay. I have this object, I have this grid here. I could give it a flow grid. You know what? I'll do that. I'll give it a flow grid because I did it on all the other faces. So right now this is the default grid, which has parallelograms in all the corners. I'm going to apply the flow grid, which smooths things out. Okay, I still have the first grid I created selected. I'm going to hit spacebar, and now I see the second grid, the flow grid. Okay, on this flow grid, I'm going to put in a surface. I'm going to make this surface 50% transparent, like the other ones. Okay, I no longer need to look at the grid. I no longer need to look at the control polygons. I just want to chop I want to chop up this surface. I go to my blending setup. I'm going to turn on the point on curve cut so I can see that this surface, because it shares the edges with all the work we've already done, it already has cut points. Remember, these are follower cut points. They come from the bottom. And we will have to adjust those because of this surface that we're creating now. But I'll talk about it when I actually do it. Okay, I'm going to show these cut points. I'm going to show the middles, right? So now, the middle of this curve, the middle of this curve, the middle of this curve already touch this surface because I made it using the same curves that I already had over here. and I also need the curved corners, which are the pieces that go from the middle to the corners between the surfaces. And now this is all I need to chop up this surface. Okay, so I can't use all these curves. I can only use 2 edges worth. I can use one edge right here and one edge right here. So remember that when we create the portions of the grid which are used to make the edge blends, like this one here, like this one here, we now have the option to select the entire surface and make all 5 pieces at once. I select the surface. Remember, if you move your mouse, it hides the fact that you've already selected. So click, I know it's selected, click, 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 all 3 pieces of this curve in order, counterclockwise, and then this curve, 1, 2, 3. And I pause here for a moment to make sure I got everything right, and oh, looks like I missed one. See that I lost this selection. Start over, this surface, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The surface and 6 edge curve segments. Now I hit this tool and I get all 5 pieces of the grid. This one in the middle is a grid to restore, like this one right here. It will be a portion of the original surface. So I select that and I just put a surface right back on it. And these pieces are the pieces I use to build the blend. I'm going to hide the whole surface. I'm going to hide all the curved corners, hide all the curved middles, hide all the point-on curves, and now I'm ready to make my edge blends. To make these edge blends, I need the corresponding edge subgrids of these faces here. So let's find them. This is part of my edge grids to blend. Here we go. I've turned them all on. There's really a lot of them, so I'm going to turn on only the last 4. And these last 4 happen to be the ones that are all the way at the top around this edge of the surface. You won't necessarily always remember which ones they were. That takes practice. You could just turn them all on and then very carefully figure out how to click them in pairs. If you know the structure, you can find what it is you need to work on. Typically, it'll be all the way at the bottom or all the way at the top of this list here. So I'm taking advantage of that knowledge. And now I'm going to produce the blends in pairs, starting from the bottom and going counterclockwise. Oh, I hit Shift instead of Control. Let me do that again. And I'm clicking right across. I'm clicking one edge in each grid across from where they touch. And I apply this tool. I still have the grid selected. I hit spacebar. Those go away. Hit this one. This one. Hit spacebar. They go away. This one here. This one here. Apply the tool. Hit spacebar. They go away. This one here. This one here. Apply the tool. Hit spacebar. They go away. Now, I select this grid, and I apply a 6x4. I select this grid, I apply 6x4. I select this grid, I apply 6x4. I select this grid, I apply 6x4. My offset isn't happy anymore. I don't remember, oh, this was the view. Remember this, the offset was the solid, and this is a link. So when I deleted the offset, it busted this link. I'm just gonna delete it. Okay, so in here, notice that I haven't done any organizing as I'm doing this, trying to go as fast as possible. So what do we have? We created a new control grid for the entire top face. Then we made it a flow grid by feeding the first one into the second, and that just gives it a nicer distribution. Then I made a surface for the entire cap. Then I created all 5 of these segments of the full surface at the same time. Then I recreated the piece of the surface in the center. This is a restored surface. Then I turned on the control grids I already had from the previous modeling, and I joined them in pair with the new ones. And that gave me these control grids. And from those, I made these cubic surfaces. To finish this up, I will turn on my previous final surfaces. And now we're going to use a new tool to fill in these corners, because these are 3-sided corners. If you remember from the last video that was the intro, what we're going to make right now is not the highest quality of cap we can possibly make, but it's useful to start with. So remember, I start here and I go counterclockwise. This would be reaching back towards the end. So if I start here, if I start on this edge more or less and I go counterclockwise, that means I'm going to do this one first. This time, instead of selecting 2 grids, I'm going to select 2 surfaces to make a subgrid in the corner. When we make the dark blue subgrids, we work directly from the edge blends. Because it is possible to do so, I always use the shortest possible path to the required data. In this case, it is not possible to make the new type of object we're going to make, which is right here. Instead of a 3x3 subgrid, we're going to make a 6x3 subgrid. This technically requires data from the surface here. The 3x3 did not require data from the edge blends. It only required the grid. In the future, I will make this a lot easier so that it doesn't matter which one you click, but right now it's very strict. So I have selected counterclockwise this one, and then this one. I apply this tool, and I get a much more complex subgrid in the corner. See, it has a lot more to it, and you can see on the icon, this 3x3 grid just made a small object in the corner. This makes a much larger object in the corner. And now I'm going to go around this hole. Next, I click on this one here, control click this one, 6x6. I click this one, control click this one, 6x6. So now I've created subgrids around this hole that are just doing the first step towards the middle of the surface to fill it. I select them counterclockwise, which means the first one I created, then the second one I created, then the third one I created. And now I'm going to apply this right here, this N-type 6x6, the control grid N*66. This tool will take as many of these subgrids as you want in a loop. It could be 3, 4, 5, 6. And then I apply this, and here we go. It has created a new grid. Notice this grid has issues. I have to do some really weird tricks to close it off in the center. And instead of filling it with one surface, when I select this grid and I apply N6x6 right here, but this time instead of showing a little grid, it shows a surface. This is going to create a star surface. And I'm going to hide the grid. I'm going to hide the subgrid, and you can see that it has created this surface. And like I said, this has a little defect in the middle. At low resolution, you can really see it, but you see defects in everything at low resolution. So I'm going to reduce the angular deflection to 1, and now this applies to all 3 of these surfaces in here. And then I'm going to apply 0.3. Let's try 0.3. Okay, it's a little bit better, but you can still see the defect. Remember that we can improve this defect later. And the nice thing about this is that it's really fast. It computes really fast, it has a fixed size, and it's very stable, unlike the FreeCAD surface workbench fill. So this is a good first step to use. And what we're going to do after we make all 4 is we will do a 3D sculpt on this thing. After we do the 3D sculpting on this face, then we'll come back and see what we can do to make this surface better. Okay, so I'm going to go counterclockwise to this one. Select this, select that, subgrid, select this, select that, subgrid, select this, select that, subgrid, select all 3 subgrids in order. Oh, I selected the wrong thing. Let me just do it from the tree. This one, then this one, then this one. Full subgrid, surface, select the surface, 1 degree, 0.3, hide the subgrid, hide the grid, hide the subgrid, and see, okay, this one, hey look, this one has a much less visible defect immediately than this one did. Because this corner here is almost flat. We really need to use the more advanced tricks for this one. But sometimes this one is pretty good. See, the defect is right here. You can find it if you go looking for it. But this portion here is actually pretty good. So this is great because it gives you an example. Sometimes this very cheap manner to fill a hole is not acceptable, and you really want to do something better, and I have tools to do something better. But sometimes, honestly, it's fine. If you have a lot of these corners, but they're not very prominent, this might be fine. Okay, let's keep going. This guy, subgrid, this guy, subgrid, this guy, subgrid. Select them counterclockwise, make a grid, make a surface, select the surface, 1 degree, 0.3, hide all the grid business, and you see this one is also pretty good, as it is. Let's do the last one, here, here. Here, 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 here. 1, 2, 3. Full grid. Select full grid. Surface. Hide all this stuff. Quality, 1 degree, 0.3. Okay, and this one, yeah, this one also has a nasty pinch. Right? So this is I'm really happy that things turned out this way because you see right off the bat the trade-off. It's very fast. It follows this. It doesn't require to recut and do a bunch of extra work in the segmentation and create setbacks that a high quality rolling blend would require. And sometimes it's fine. Sometimes it's fine. And sometimes it's not. And I have more tools to deal with this situation. So let's close this back up. So it was pretty quick to create the face from all the pieces that we already had. We already had the polys. We just created a grid. I chose to make a grid in 2 steps so that we would have a flow grid. Then I made the surface. I already had all the cut up little pieces. And filling these corners was really not too bad. Is there a lot of objects? Sure. We're going to create how many folders are we going to need to do this? Well, let's take a look. This control grid already has a place to go. This grid already has a place to go. The surfaces have a place to go. These edge segments already have a place to go. So the only new folders that we're going to need is for the subgrids, the full grids, and these star surfaces, because they are quite different, so it's worth putting them in their own folder. So that's 3 folders. We will create 3 folders for elements in here. And then I have a choice. I can either put them in the blending setup in the final surfaces, or I could say, you know, instead of putting in the final surfaces, I'm going to make a cap folder. That's up to you. We could fit everything we just created with 3 new folders for element types within the existing structure. Did it make a bunch of elements? Sure. But it was very fast to make and not very hard to understand, in my opinion, if you actually understand everything we had done so far. Okay. So actually, instead of sculpting this surface, I'm going to stop right here because I know my videos are too long. So we've created a cap. It's very different from what we had before. We didn't have to use an entire section to create this blend, but we have questionable quality. So the order of things we're going to do is, next video, we're going to sculpt the curves on this top section so that they're fully three-dimensional. And you will see that this new stuff we've created here today actually can be sculpted entirely in 3D. And then after we do that, we will have 2 ways to go. We can either spend our time making a custom object for the library, which constitutes one of these caps here so that you have it available. Or I could show you how to make higher quality blends in the corners where this object comes out at not very good quality. You can give your opinion in the comments on which way you would like to go, but yeah, that's it. This is all we're modeling today. Take care.